This is the second in a series of webinars on the stages of a cybersecurity attack. But again, the emphasis is on those stages of the attack, and then you'd see how the solutions themselves mitigate those stages or deal with those stages. We started last week with Palo Alto Networks, and today we're moving on with Sophos Security Solutions. We are Icons Company Limited. Icons Company Limited is actually an abbreviation for full name, Integrated Computing and Outsourcing Network Solutions. We're an IT solutions provider and integrator. We began operations in 2006, so that means that we've been in operation for 18 years. And you'd see some of the solutions that we've been championing through that time. We started looking at the SMB market, but we quickly realized that how we do business and the way we interact with our customers also scaled very well and worked very, very well for larger enterprises as well. So we included those entities into our focus. What we do is primarily core IT infrastructure. So the idea is you have a strong foundation in your IT, and from which you can build upon and solidify other applications, other parts of it. So build the base strong. We're very focused in our offerings. We don't try to be everything to everyone. We don't try to venture outside of our expertise. So we ensure that we make the most of whatever solutions that we are providing, make the most or allow our customers to make the most of those solutions by being very detail oriented in those solutions. Just to give you an idea of the solutions that we do work with, we've been a Microsoft partner since inception. Not too long after, we started with Symantec as well, and also added in what is now separated from Symantec. There used to be one company, Veritas. Shortly after, in 2008, we did NetApp. NetApp is a or just to be aware, if you're not, Veritas is a data protection solution company. They offer backup solutions, so we focus on backup solutions with them. NetApp is a storage, SAN storage solution that we started working with in 2008, and we use them a lot in virtualized deployments. We all know about Cisco. We partnered with them in 2009, as well as Hewlett. Then the combined HP Inc. or Hewlett Packard, and we continued our relationship with Hewlett Packard enterprise side, primarily to offer server solutions, switches, and wireless solutions. Hewlett Packard also has Aruba Networks, and you may have heard recently that they have acquired or are in talks to acquire, and it looks like it's going to happen, Juniper Networks. In 2013, we brought Palo Alto Networks to the local market, and that's been doing quite well. And Palo Alto Networks is the next generation firewall solution. They kind of pioneered the term, and they have a range of network security solutions. Last but not least, by no means, is Sophos, which we began 2018, and this is where we want to focus our six assassins defense strategy in the Sophos security solutions. With us from not Sophos directly, but our distributor MC3. They work very closely with us and with Sophos in helping us bring these solutions to our customers, ensuring that we have the right offering as we work with them, and so ensuring you all that we have the correct offerings, right? And with us we have Bryan Rosario. Bryan is actually joining us out of the Dominican Republic. I don't know if he'll offer us some time to come and visit him there and host us while we're taking some of the great beaches there. My sister-in-law is there right now, and she's showing off on all the great um, beaches and sites that they are to see there. So I'm excited to get that offering from Bryan, but even more excited to hear about what he has to say about Sophos and helping us defeat these 6 assassins of terror. So Bryan, I'll leave it to you to take it away.
Thanks a lot, Tarquin. Of course, I will be delighted to have you all here. So I make you this proposition. Next time you're able to travel to the DR, beers are on me. Just so you
That's right.
know, as Tarkin said, I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I'm very proud to say that we have one of the best beers in the world, which is Cerveza Presidente. So I will be more than happy and delightful to give you a treat next time you're in DR. So, just so you know a little bit about me, as Tarkin said, my name is Bryan Rosario. I'm a Sophos product specialist within MC3, which is one of the main distributors in the Caribbean region. And we work very closely with Icons as one of our best partners in the region as well. So today we are going to be taking a look about these 6 assassins and the strategy to defeat them before they even begin their attack. So our portfolio today will be based, or the presentation today will be around Sophos portfolio and what Sophos can do to help you defend yourself, or outsource it to Sophos to defend your assets within your company. So as Tarkin was saying, please feel free to use the Q&A section to ask any questions during the presentation, or just raise your hand. I don't like to be speaking all by myself, so if by any means you have any doubts, you want some clarification, more details, please feel free to do so. So, as a general glimpse about what Sophos has to offer, we start at the top. At the top, we have the brains of this operation, which is Sophos Central. Sophos Central is a centralized cloud management console. So everything is handled and managed from the cloud directly. And you install agents where you need them to. And this has a unique, let's say, advantage of handling everything in one single place, is that every product is able to speak to each other. And we are going to be looking at this throughout the presentation today. After that, we have Cloud Optics. Cloud Optics is a product thought for the cloud, as the name implies. And basically, its main objective is giving protection to those assets in which you cannot deploy an agent directly. So basically, protecting database instances, containers, cloud servers that you don't want to, or you don't have a way to deploy uh, an agent, let's say, because you don't own the infrastructure, just as a service. So that is the product that you would choose to do that. Next, on our right hand side, we have our end user protection, which includes endpoint servers, mobile encryption, and phish threat. Phish threat, this is not a protection uh, product per se, it's oriented to your users. We are going to dive a little bit in later as well. On our left side, we have our peripheral protection, which is firewall, wireless, email protection in this case, and our switching. Something to note here is that our switches, they are only access switches. Any core or distribution tasks, they are handled by our firewall. Also, we have ZTNA, which is a special product that we are going to talk about later. This is a VPN client, but in steroids. And also, we have our services that we are going to be also very deep with them. And when you have, let's say, the minimum of the endpoint and the servers and the firewall, you get what we call security heartbeat, which also has now been evolved in a new and more powerful solution that we're going to check down in the road. So we have our first assassin, which is the Recon. The Recon basically, its job is do the social engineering, the discovery, scanning everything and gathering as much information as possible. So it will be looking for the architecture, security measure, family of devices available, users, and what data is available to them publicly. So they gather, they are like the scouts. So they are going to be looking for the enemies, looking for what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths, and relay this information back to the team. So the more secure you have your perimeter to the outside, the better it is. So to guard from the recon, you need to have uh, the information gathering activities. So, for example, using firewalls, encrypted traffic, having your ports closed, not having public information whenever possible, because basically what you want to do is having as little surface of attack as possible, and then having someone checking on all of the little activities that are going around the perimeter, not inside this case, to then take this information up to the administrator and take action against this assassin. So how Sophos works with it? Well, it's pretty simple. Sophos is able to cover any vulnerabilities that you can have, because it will be looking for any weaknesses, any flaws, any software error, and applying, let's say, a patch. It's not patching the application itself, but it's being aware of that flaw and covering that flaw within the agent. Also, it has a credential theft protection and multi-factor authentication. That is one of the keys to avoiding somebody gaining access. Largely because lately we've seen people logging in instead of breaking in. So people are not attempting to break the system security rather than trying to get the credentials from someone who has already access to what they need in the systems. Also, we have multi-stage attacks, attacks that start in one place and end in another. So we ought to keep um, covered with this, paying specific attention to the things that are trying to moving from one place to another. And also we have living off the land attacks. So these are attacks that they use whatever resources are available in the systems that are legit, and for that, we need to pay a special eye for them. And that's what we have threat detection and response available. So Sophos, it's delivering its solutions as security as a service. So you can connect anywhere, anyhow, set policies in one place to enforce to everywhere. And for example, you have your remote users, they use zero trust network access. Within your offices, you have your firewall, your switch, your wireless access points. And for remote locations, let's say a branch office, you can connect it with the SD-RED devices. Now, in the cloud, security as a service, You can then connect your public cloud um, applications, your service applications, your internet applications, everything together in a secure web gateway. And you can have this segmented in order to have like a very, very, very separated yet connected solutions to keep you safe. Now, we have Sophos Fishred was one of the products that we were talking earlier. This is not a security product for your environment, but a security for your users. So within Fishred, you can simulate phishing campaigns and attack campaigns in which you have hundreds of attack templates, you have trainings, you have reporting, and you can measure what it's that telling you. So how does it work? Well, basically, you test your employees. You send out a test campaign or a test to them, and you can see who are your weak users inside of your organization. So you send a hook, and whoever fell for the trick, you will get a report from that. You will get a report from who received the email, who opened the email, who reported it as a threat, as a phishing, as a junk email, or who click on the bait as well. So you will get those reports, and those who click on the bait, they will be prompted to take a training that you can select when you're crafting the campaign. And when they finish the training, they have to take an assessment. And you get a report on each one of those stages. And you can see who are the more prone to failure users that you have so you can take care of them. Because nowadays, the majority of the attacks or the opening doors for attacks are coming via email. People are not checking who are the senders, who the email is addressed to. They are not checking the domains. They are just clicking blindly on the attachments that they are getting. And as good as an email protection solution can be, there are going to be always some things that slips through. And those things are the most that we need to take care of on the human side of the thing. So,
Ryan,
yes.
just a point on that. It may not be it's just to be it can be someone's account that's been compromised, someone who you trust, and their account has been compromised in some way, and they send and you get emails from them, and you already trusted those individuals. So that's just an example of why some of your systems may fail, because they are sending an email. It's a legitimate email account from a contact that you legitimately trust. It's just that on the remote side, there's been a compromise, and someone is leveraging that account um, to launch an attack against you.
That's very true. That's very true. But also for those kind of attacks, we have a solution that we are going to be talking later on. But this is more in the not paying attention sense. More than having someone trusted compromise, this is another scenario. But this is out for the things that are jumping right at you. So for example, you get a promotion from one specific service that you're looking into. It may not be uh company related things that you are getting on the computer that you're using for work. So sometimes and I plead guilty of this practice, is that sometimes to avoid going to the computer, your personal computer on the other room or your personal device, you just open a personal email on your work computer, and that can bring also uh, one way of infection. So even if it's not from a company standpoint, learning about the ways that we have to trick or that the attackers have to trick the users into clicking on the baits, it's something that solves the issue from the root of the user directly, because you don't have to worry about what is going on the user side, because the user is aware of what are the things that are coming, and it's helping you clear any of the things that could slip through the filtering process of the emails getting to you. So, for example, you may get an email of someone impersonating your CFO sending you that you need to pay an invoice, but that's not the standard procedure. This is something that you, as soon as you see that, if it's not the standard procedure, then it's something that clicks on you and you say, hey, this shouldn't be happening. Why I'm getting an email from my boss to pay a specific invoice if the invoices are paid by this other department, or it's this due process that we follow for it. So these are kind of the things, not only just who is the email address that is coming from, but also behavioral stuff that we tend to fall for. So um, Sophos email is the solution that we have to treat those pesky threats that we get over the mail. So Sophos email is able to analyze what are the links that are coming to you. So it has artificial intelligence, our artificial intelligence engine called InterceptX, embedded with the email that is able even to detect if there is some ransomware embedded in a file that you're getting from someone. So um, we integrate Sophos email with Fishred. So by doing so, we help administrators to identify and train users, showing potentially risky behaviors, as we were talking about. And so, for example, one user clicks an email link and it's rewritten by time of click protection. So this is classed as a threat. So the email administrator can instantly see what are the users that are risky. So who are the users that are clicking everything that gets to them, and what are the users that are at risk at that specific moment because of a link that they click to open. So once you see that, you enroll them into the training. So basically, this is how it works. And you combine that with your email protection. So basically, you have email filtering. So you can see what are the reputations on the domains, sender authentication, anomalies in the headers, anti-spam and antivirus, and delay queue. So you can delay your emails from being delivered. And also, you have protection advanced for advanced threats like Sophos and Storm, which is our sandboxing in the cloud, post-delivery protection, business email compromise. This is what we were talking about, what Tarkin was mentioning, that basically this detects if an email has been compromised, and also has natural language detection. So it detects the writing in the tone that the email is being written for, and compares it with all of the other emails that have been sent, and it can detect if the email that has been written has the same tonality by the same person. So it's, if it's someone trying to impersonate someone, it will be detecting that and flagging it as a potential threat as well. Also, we have email continuity. So you have email queuing and emergency inbox. And this is really cool, emergency inbox. Let's say if by any means, by any situation that happens, your email is down, Sophos will be able to get your emails and deliver it to the inboxes. They won't be able to reply to them. They will be only read or read only emails. However, you are going to be able to still receive them. Once the system comes back online, then you will be able to work with your emails in a normal fashion. Also, we have data loss prevention and content control, and TLS and push-based encryption. So you can um, encrypt the emails and the content that you're sending, and also preventing specific keywords, file formats, and some data protection for data loss prevention. So, as we were talking, we have a smart sandboxing for improved performance. Basically, it has a pre-filtering sandbox, in which it's known to be safe, known to be bad, unknown, but it's safe still. So when it's known to be bad, then it's sent to the sandbox. In this case, avoiding any any potential threats to go through. And as we were talking about business email compromise scams, it's about the malicious things or the tone. It analyzes. It has a natural language processor and has models about it, and it analyzes what is being said in the ways that are being said to analyze if what it's being said is likely to be a threat or not. So it lets you know if it's urgency and asking for something. So it's trying to figure it out if the email that you're getting is trying to get you to do or to provide some information back. So it combines that information from the body of the message with the domain in the recipient list. So if it's someone from who you're getting emails frequently or not, also factor into the detection of this. So, for example, if you're getting tons of email from the marketing department, and by any instance you're getting, let's say, one email that is fishy from them, it's more likely that you don't pay attention to that. However, if you're not used to get emails from the head of finance or somebody that is not likely to be sending emails uh, asking for anything directly, and all of the sudden you get an email from that, Sophos will be taking that as a flag to analyze and look for. Also, Sophos is optimized
Brian,
for Microsoft. Yes.
just because I saw it at the top of this guy, what are Beck scams?
BEG is business email compromise. So
Okay.
it's basically spear phishing, in which somebody impersonates a high profile person within the company. So, for example, instead of using uh, one of the messengers of the company or one of the salespeople, I'm trying to impersonate, let's say, head of finance, the CEO, head of operations, trying to impersonate or using even the same email inbox, like trying to penetrate to have access to that email to then try to scam the way through that email directly. So, for example, your head of finances, which is one of the most common attacked uh, persons in the company, head of finance has the power to authorize or decline transfers from one place to another. So what attackers will try to do is to gain access legitimately, so trying to get the password from the head of finance to his email address to be able to send emails uh, to the people who actually make the payments to try and lure them to make a payment uh, to something that is not the case, or to something that is not, uh, let's say, try to pay themselves uh, for that matter. So BEC is basically uh, business email compromise, which is often uh, for high profile targets within an organization. So moving forward, Sophos email is optimized for Office 365. So it has mail flow rules, which is a proprietary uh, protocol to connect within Microsoft email, and it taps directly into the flow of the messages for a very fast processing times of the email. Also, as it integrates right away, you can make a connection between Sophos Central and your Office 365 in matter of minutes. You don't need protection or MX records redirections or so on like you would need with an SMTP or any other um, yeah, protocol for connection within your email solution. and your protection. So that is for the email part of the thing. But what happens with the remote access, which is the other uh, tools that the recon assassin uses to learn about the organization? Well, when a user connects via um, a VPN connection, usually that connection is only protected by the user name and the password that you're giving out. Sometimes, little times, you have a little extra trying to encrypt the traffic, but once you have the password, either way, you're still able to see what it's going through and coming through. So that is when it comes to play zero trust network, because you allow per application, per user, per device access. So um, basically, remote workers are not explicitly trusted. So they only connect to a very specific application or system, not the whole network. So basically, let's say this example. You can see that this remote user have access to to AWS and the corporate network, but nothing else. So this user has access to AWS and some application on the corporate network, but nothing else. So no other applications or other users access. And if by any means this computer becomes compromised, it will be severed the connection between all of them until the threat has been already neutralized. So as you can see, the user is still who it says he is, but the computer is compromised. Hence, all connectivity has been severed until the threat has been neutralized. So that's one of the main benefits, that device health is constantly assessed, and you can connect only to a specific resource that you allow to, and not the whole network. So basically, this use case is for remote users, like working from home, a single person who does not have access to an infrastructure device such as a firewall or a red device that we're going to check later. So you have enhanced security, easier management, and transparent efficiency and experience. So it just works. It doesn't explicitly trust the user. So it's constantly validating what the user have access to and what are their permissions. And it's easier to manage because it's basically coming together with the endpoint solution that Sophos offers. So it's a separate add-on, but it integrates and deploys with the same endpoint agent. So basically, you have Zero
Brian,
Trust Network as a service. Yeah.
if I can interject, maybe you're doing this later on, but how does the ZTNA compare or complement the regular VPN that you get with the VPN um, that you get with the Sophos firewalls? So you can do VPN access with just the Sophos firewalls. It's not, but ZTNA is an add-on, correct?
Exactly. So the VPN access that you get with the firewall basically is the connectivity to the firewall. So from there, the user will be have access to everything that is going on within the network that it's allowed to do. Also, the only thing that you need to validate is the user credentials, so username and password. And as soon as that's validated, they will have access to everything. And also, the VPN agent that you get with the firewall does not validate the status of the device that is connecting from. So, for example, if I have a compromised device connecting through the firewall VPN as usual, and if that endpoint is compromised, it has a persistent attacker within, the attacker will gain access to my network immediately, because nothing is preventing that computer from connecting, even though it's infected to my internal network. So that's where ZTNA makes a difference. Aside from validating the username and the password. It's also validating what are the status of that computer, if it has a threat, if it's compromised, if it's clean. And also you're able to segment in a very more compact way the accesses that that user has. So if you want to share just a database and nothing else on the network, then you can just share that specific database to the gateway. That being said, you can deploy the gateway either in a virtual machine or on a Sophos firewall, and you will be creating a direct access to that specific database for that specific user that is remote, and that user won't be able to see what else is going on the network. It won't be able to sniff or to try to see if there is any open ports, what are any other connections happening at that time, or anything else for that matter. It will be just a remote connection to that database, as if it was a direct link to the database itself, but it's going through all of that process of security. So, following up on that, you have remote access from the users. So these are your remote users. And as I was saying, you have on-premise applications and you have public cloud applications that you have protected. So basically, what Sophos will be doing is um, checking what are the rights that this user has to access any of these applications. And when I mean applications, it's just applications, not the whole infrastructure as a remote access. So you can host this in the cloud and you just deploy the gateways in front of whatever services you need to. So, for example, in here, you have plugged your connectivity to certain applications here, such as YouTube, Facebook, GitHub, whatever web applications you're using. And then you have your internal private applications that are hosted on a public cloud, let's say. So you can deploy different gateways to then allow to specific things to be accessed for. So basically, you have VPN profile for desired access. This is basically what you provision when you give out to a user. Um, we assign users to each profile, VPN clients, so you have um, more options, more flexibility, and more security at the same time to manage. So ZTNA is integrated to within the Sophos firewall, so you can implement zero trust effortlessly. And just as a reminder, ZTNA, whenever you see this acronym, it's basically zero trust network access. So all of the time, it will be validating everything, trusting nothing. Another thing that you can do is protection for encrypted traffic. According to Google, 96% of the traffic of today's internet highway is encrypted, and 50% of the malware and potential unwanted applications are TLS connections. 91% of the organizations are not using TLS inspections. So that leaves us with a broad range of threats and little things done to take care of that. So Sophos XGS firewall comes with what we call extreme flow processors, which basically are designed to analyze encrypted traffic. That is their main purpose. So um, basically, it's a dual processor unit, and one process, the NPU, is the main network processing unit, and the extreme flow processor, its main purpose is manage integrated encrypted traffic. So basically, the main processor is offloading this task that it's very resource intensive to this extra processor to be able to handle faster what are the traffic that it's coming in encrypted. Also within the firewalls, we have zero-day threat protection. So basically the same artificial and intelligence engine that we mentioned for the email, it's present on the endpoints, it's present on the firewalls, which it can have file submissions sent to the Sophos labs. It has behavior analysis, it has deep learning analysis, it has attack replay. So it will be logging every step that the threat did to be able to recreate this attack and learn from it to avoid it in future cases. Also, it's much more than a firewall. So you have your switches, which are managed within the firewall. You have your wireless, which can be managed from your firewall and from the cloud. You have CTNA that can connect to the firewall. You have Sophos Red for remote office. So it's more than just a simple firewall. It's a next generation networking protection unit. Also, you have unmatched visibility. You have everything that you need to see at a glance. So you can see what are the unknown apps, risky downloads, risky users, advanced threat, encrypted traffic, um, risky applications, websites, intrusion attacks, everything, the status of the connectivities. So, for example, how many red devices you have connected, wireless access points, live users, remote users, what is the status of the unit. So, everything that you need to know, you can see it at a glance to get an idea of what is going on. So, summarizing, what protects you from the scout or from the recon assassin, it's having users trained enough to identify when they are getting a suspicious email, having a very secure email security solution, having a very good solution for remote connections from your users, and having a very good firewall solution within your networking. Second assassin is the transport. So basically, once the recon has gathered all of the information needed from the users, from the network, from all of your resources, basically the transport, it will be various methods, such as malicious links, infected USB drive, wireless connections, to try and smuggle the payload that it's going to be used for the attack itself. So far, we've seen that the attack hasn't had any effect on your systems. So far, it's just a discovering, people gathering information. And we would be surprised how many information can be retrieved from our organizations due to the lack of security measures in place for information gathering. So basically, in this case, the defense that we are, the defense strategy, it's the gate, basically blocking everything by denying and limiting the access to the network or its components. So ways to deny this will be authentication, authorization, firewall, VPN connections to control and secure the network's perimeter and the endpoints. So basically, we are going to reject or allow the access to the various components that are trying to connect to our systems. So again, we go with the firewall. We have at a glance what it's trying to go in, what it's trying to go out. So one of the main challenges that we have is the visibility to see what are the things that need to pay attention to. So as soon as you're logging into your firewall, this is the main view that you have. And for example, you can use what are your risky users, what are the suspects that are more prone to failure, and it will let you know what are the activities that they have done that puts the company at risk. So you have cloud applications, visibility. So you will see what are the applications that you have sanctioned, unsanctioned, tolerated, and what are the new ones. So it will let you know even how many apps and how much of a traffic is going out and coming in. So also you can check into SSL traffic or encrypted connection. So 66% of traffic in this case is encrypted, 75% of that has been decrypted, 8 has been failed. So you can see a report about what is going on with your encrypted traffic. So you can see what is the status, if it's suspicious, if it's malicious, if it's clean, and if there is that is the analysis of any thread. Uh, any thread will be like an object that goes through, and then you will be able to see what is the thing. So if it's malicious, it will be by file attributes, genetic analysis, machine learning overall. The suspicious will be for the reputation, and likely clean or clean will be because it has been vetted and doesn't have any of these indicators of compromise. And this analysis you get, you don't have even to click it. If you hover your mouse inside of the console, it will just be showing up this specific screen. Also, you have hundreds of different reports available within the Sophos firewall. So when I mean hundreds, it's hundreds of different reports that you can get for your specific needs. Also, we have XDR. Now, XDR is the evolution of EDR, which stands for Endpoint Detection and Response. So XDR stands for Extended Detection and Response. And basically, it unifies the information from different sources into a way that it's a consumable information. So for example, you have your Sophos XDR data lake, and you have endpoint informations in the data lake. You have firewall information in the data lake. You have email, cloud, NDR, identity, networking. You have all of this information all over the place. So basically, our threat analysis and correlation and artificial intelligence, what we'll do is that we'll be collecting everything from all of the data sources. Then it will apply some context to it, and then we will start doing some correlations. So what used to take hours or even days or weeks to do now takes minutes to do because of the artificial intelligence correlation and information sorting capabilities. So either you can do yourself your investigation with the tools, or you can relay this to Sophos detection and response services, which we are going to talk in a little bit. So you have a set of tools available to you to do threat hunting. So for example, uh, you have lots of SQL-like queries that you can do. You have live discover. You have remote response capabilities. You have threat cases in Analysis Center, which lets you have an investigation and be documenting every step of the way. But as it says here, XDR focuses on the practitioner and the outcome. So it's about the tools and what you can do about them. But it's something that I would like to say that basically it's like a Rolls Royce. XDR is like a Rolls Royce. You get an awesome car, lots of features, lots of stuff. And those kind of stuff, it's, for example, third-party integration. So it can integrate with Microsoft, CrowdStrike, Trend Micro, SentinelOne, Cylance, Trellix. These are on the endpoint side. Firewalls, different ones, network tools like Darktrace and Canary, email, identity solutions, cloud solutions, productivity solutions, and so on. So you have a ton of integrations that you can do. Some are for free, some are add-on tools that you can have. So as this Rolls-Royce has an awesome instrument panel that you can see. So you can have what are your detections sectionized, like for what is the importance of the threat, if it's just an alert, if it's a threat that needs to be taken care of, if it's something that the computer couldn't uh, come to the solution by itself and needs the assistance of an analyst. So you have case management and response actions. You will have guided also information on how to resolve certain incidents. And you have also, uh, like I was mentioning, SQL kind of search. So you will have queries that you can do to your system. So for this, you have Sophos Endpoint, which is the base of the product. You have XDR, which have the tools, like you're getting your Toyota turned into a Rolls Royce. And then you have MDR, which is getting the Rolls Royce and a driver as well, that we are going to talk about in a moment. So also we have NDR. NDR is the same as MDR. So this is network detection and response. And this is basically Sophos team taking care of the network analysis for you. So you have unprotected devices like rogue devices as well, IoT devices, zero-day attacks, and insider threats. So basically, are 5 engines running for this specific protection, which has device detection analysis that identifies systems communicating on the network that they are not managed. You have domain generation. So basically, this is a prediction model to detect domain names generated by algorithms. You have deep packet inspection. This is coming through one of the extreme flow processor functions, so it can inspect encrypted traffic. Also, encrypted payload analytics. Uh, Basically, it detects what are the new variants of malware families uh, found in a session, packet size, direction, and inter-arrival times, and also session risk analysis. So basically, it will be running alerts based on the risk factors based on sessions. So certificates, self-signed TLS, binary applications transfer, etc. So basically, this is the way that you protect from our second assassin, which is the transport. Basically, is covering a perimeter to avoid anything from coming in. So, assassin number 3, the exploit. So, once you have or the attacker have delivered the payload, then the real attack begins. So, basically, trying to find the vulnerabilities of the system to be able to take advantage of it to break in the access needed. So basically, this vulnerability or the defense for this specific assassin is the patch. So basically, what you need is a patching solution that you have all your software up to date, that you have no bugs, that you have no vulnerabilities open, no doors opens, and that you have backups. That anything happens, you can roll back to a previous state where everything was secure and in a working order. So the patching strengthens the network security, which can prevent or reduce the damage from the exploit assassin. So Intercept X, our endpoint solution, has an anti-exploit for endpoints and servers. So, for example, you have the hip spray, which is kind of the preparation. Then the triggering is the memory corruption. So once the memory have been corrupted, uh, the attacker will have access to do what it pleases with that portion of memory. Also, then it gains control, which is the stack pivot, which basically will be a persistence model. Then circumvent, or the ROP, which basically ROP stands for return oriented programming. So basically, what we'll do is that it will take a specific portion of a known program, and based on the response of that program, which is already validated as a safe program within the system, then it will have that program commit certain actions that doesn't raise any suspicions and takes them to the final game. Then, after they have this program already established and turned into their site, then it's the calling the OS functions to then do the payload drop, which is in memory, and then on disk to at last to the exfiltration, ransom, or other malicious activities that they may have. So for the on disk payloads, we have the antivirus, but what do we have for anything else? For everything else, we have exploit techniques preventions. So basically, this is the list of all of the available exploit techniques known as of today. And all of the attacks, they are based either in one or a combination of many of these exploit techniques. These are like the core techniques, and from there it can escalate as big as the attacker may want to use it. So for anti-exploit, we have hardening, basically application hardening. We have 60 exploit prevention techniques in the product today. So these are basically a map of the Mitre Defend framework. We won't go into each mitigation in detail. We don't have time for that. But basically, it's this is the list of the things that we can do. And what we're trying to do, it's hardening, preventing dynamic code allocation from the applications from different ways. So one of the things that attackers do to gain access is try to see what programs they can use to have some space in memory allocated for them. So dynamic code allocation, so an application that is changing its size constantly is a huge threat. So what Sophos will do is that it will assign a specific block of memory for that specific application and try to keep it within the limits. If it's shorting or moving up or down a lot, then it will assign a specific slot that it can content and provide like a container inside of the memory for that specific application. So we have detection, basically file analysis and process analysis. Basically, what we are trying to do here is detect if a file status, for example, virus, Trojan, benign, malicious, trusted, unauthorized, sensitive, etc. So CryptoGuard, which is one of the modules inside of the Sophos endpoint, analyzes the files to determine file entropy, Chi2 distribution, use of XOR, cryptography, etc. Also analysis of the network traffic, platform monitoring, process analysis, and so on. And in the isolate device, we are able to prevent code injection from a table, execution from residual memory, and so on. So these are various operations that allow attackers to place their payload inside of the system. Also, if we are dealing with a remote people or a remote attacker, we are able to set up decoy objects within the system. So basically lure them to thinking there is something of high value on that specific model to then sever the connection and disrupt the payload that the attacker is receiving. So additional things that we have to stop the exploit assassin is basically web control, in which you have web control embedded into the endpoint. You have peripheral control, application control, and data control. There is a DLP already included in the endpoint agent. Also, we have behavioral engine as memory scanning protection and additional remediations capabilities to sweep out and clean up after the attack have been disrupted. So if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, we mentioned something called heartbeat synchronized security. Now it has evolved to what we call adaptive and automated response, or adaptive attack protection. So basically, if a threat is detected, then the firewall will be limiting the access to this specific computer from the rest of the network. Now, this happens automatically within the firewall, but the information that the firewall may have is limited. So what we do in this case is that we have the security team, so security X ops or sex ops from Sophos, they are able to send information via an API to the firewall to keep everything up to date. So if we learn from customer A that this happened, customer B doesn't have to go through that, because this information will be relayed to all of the Sophos firewalls. So then what happened to customer A and how it was solved, it can be applied from the beginning on customer B. Also, we have content sensitive defense. So that will be depending on what is going on. So endpoint protection is by default. It stops early stages of any attack. Then we have adaptive attack protection, which elevates the protection sensitivity based on what is going on. And if it's a statewide, then alerts the customer to attack requiring that the attack requires immediate assistance response. So let's say something happens is not big enough, shields are going up, shields are good. If it's something that is a little bit more forceful, we still have shields, but be aware that we have something up. If we have multiple attacks or alerts across all of the system, then you have an alert, red alert. We have several attacks incoming from different places. We need to take action immediately.
Brian,
So
just to verify there.
uh-huh.
We're not actually talking about compromise, but we're speaking about an
Prevention.
prevention here. So there's
we are under attack. We are not compromised, but we are under attack.
Aware of these attacks, attacks
Exactly.
being leveraged against us, but it's not actually a compromise of our systems.
Exactly. That is correct. Because remember that we mentioned earlier here, whenever we have a specific device that it's being attacked, not necessarily that has been compromised, but has an active threat that we need to mitigate, this specific device gets isolated. But when it's multiple assets that are being hit and you are seeing alerts on different assets, then you have a system-wide alert that you need to pay attention because someone is trying to get into the system. These are the focus attack points that we need to take care of. It's not that the system is compromised, but these are the spots that are receiving the attacks from the attackers. It's not that the system has been entirely compromised, but there are things that need attention to resolve incidents on. So it's basically we have an early warning system with a notification, something is going on. Then when you go into the platform, you have the details of what is going on, and also either you have XDR, incident response, or MDR to pre- uh, provide the resolution for the issue. So basically, for this assassin, number three, the exploit, what you need to have is a very up-to-date security and endpoint, most of all, because that's where most of the vulnerabilities are. Have an endpoint protection that can help you mitigate those vulnerabilities that you have on your system. So just closing on here, you have your XDR, but also you have your MDR. We've been talking about MDR, but we haven't actually touched base about it. So MDR is basically managed detection and response, which is a 24 by 7 service that Sophos offers on top of the tools. It's like getting the driver for your Rolls Royce, which is your awesome car that you're having. So the persist is the number four assassin. This is basically to the responsible of maintaining that backdoor open for the attackers to have access all of the time to the system.
Hi,
So
Brian.
yes,
We have one question. What is the
sure.
expected load on the clients or servers that these agents have been applied to? So, piece
It's
from
really
Prestige.
light. Yeah, it's really light on the system, just a couple hundred megabytes. Um, it has several processes though, but they are light processes, and most of the time, instead of having actions, more of the time is monitoring. So most of the work is done via monitor, and it's a very lightweight footprint that they have on the system.
Okay, thanks.
So the persist assassin is basically the one that it's jumping the hoops on the defense to keep a backdoor open, so the attackers can have access to it all of the time. So what is the defense for this assassin is the lockdown. Basically, um, we prevent malware installation on the network and the devices. The lockdown, it's a set of tools for protecting endpoints, networks, cloud services, and so on. So the lockdown follows the zero trust network. You remember that we talk about ZTNA or zero trust network access. Zero trust is more than a product, it's a philosophy. So basically, it's the philosophy of validating everything that is going on and trusting nothing. So every action by default will require verification and authorization for it to happen. So also, it's trying to limit the access of the local users, which can reduce the installation and propagation. So trying to limit what are the reach that your local users have inside, or the permissions that they have, which is often more than not uh, a way to get some payloads delivered and installed. So post delivery protection is what we have for this. And if the threat is coming via email, basically it will identify compromised mailboxes. It will be automatically isolating that mailboxes and cleaning any associated devices to those mailboxes. So let's say if we have an attack on Turquin's inbox, what Sophos will do is that it will isolate every endpoint or every device that Tarquin has access to that email, and it will be cleaning up everything that is related to that attack that was coming from Tarquin's email. Also, it uses an API from Microsoft 365 to directly access the mailboxes That's how we can also deliver emails, uh, even though the service is um, even though the service is down. Via the API, it's able to access directly to the mailboxes, can deliver emails when the system is down, but also can provide uh, protection after it has been delivered. So, how it works? Well, we have our email gateway between Office 365 and the senders and the recipients. So, if something is delivered after the fact, or something is malicious after the fact that it has been delivered, Sophos will have a updating or sending protection for post-delivery emails. So, for example, you can analyze a web URL that it's safe at the moment of the reception of the email, but you don't know if later that day, 2 days later, 1 week, 1 month later, that same URL has been uh, transformed by some attacker into some, let's say, weaponization of that. So if it happens a month after the email has been delivered, Sophos still will have the chance to go back to that specific URL and disable it, because now the URL is a weapon that it was not when the email was delivered. So that's how powerful Sophos can be when delivering post-deliver protection. So basically, everything summarizes to detection, investigation, and response. What are you able to see? You need to be able to see something to then investigate it, to then be able to respond. So if you're looking at a lot of things, then you won't have time to focus on the things that really matter. So so that's how Sophos is able to manage the protection. You have a lot of things that are going on, but with the artificial intelligence that Sophos is handling, it's able to reduce the surface attack and having analysis on everything that's going on. Also, then, as you have everything more granular control here in the prevention stages, you're able to also be more efficient on the detections that you get. So you have more truer detections that are also correlated and prioritized. Then you can focus on that list of prioritizations that you need to do your investigations and deep dive into them really quick. Then you will be able to provide response to those specific things that need response to. So what you could do in days, now it takes around 38 minutes in average to remediate. And as we were talking earlier, you have the investigations that you can do on your own. But when it shines, and it really shines through, it's when you are using MDR, a managed detection and response, which is basically you're offloading your threat hunting capabilities and your detection capabilities and your investigations capabilities. You are offloading them to Sophos for them to do it for you. And what better to have the manufacturer of the tool also providing you the usage for that tool. It's like you have a very good mechanic also being the driver of your car. So, as we said earlier, you have more focus. We were looking at a similar list in which you can see what are the alerts that you're getting, the summary, what is the severity, what are the things that you need to pay attention to, and whatnot. And also, um, you can have shared investigations. So it's not up to one single person. Investigations can be done by several people in the same team, and so on. So that brings us to MDR, what we were talking about, cybersecurity as a service. So MDR stands for Managed Detection and Response. And basically, it's instead of you being your own security operations center, you offload that responsibility to Sophos, which they are not going to be only notifying but also taking action. So one of the key differentiators that we have is that we have we don't only notify you but we also take action. So we have incident response neutralization, investigation, threat hunting, adversarial detections, security health check, um, activity reporting that you were getting both weekly and monthly, enhanced telemetry. So you have connector to different other um, third-party integrations. So you have two ways of doing it. You have either collaborate, which it will be a shared workload about the investigations, mitigations, and so on, or authorize, where you leave Sophos do its job, and you just focus on what you do. So as of now, um, this is a chart of detection and response times. So internal SOX teams, the fastest that they provide a response to an incident is almost 4 hours. The average is about 16 hours. And when it takes so long, it's about 30 hours. With Sophos, it's different. It's about 38 minutes until they have a remediation complete. So the detection is done in under a minute. The investigation is done in about 25 minutes, and the remediation is done within 12 minutes. So that is also on the things that are just slipping through the things that are automatically blocked by Sophos. And something to keep in mind is that this team of security analysts, they have less things to do by the day because whenever they face a new threat, they create a playbook for detection and resolution of that specific threat, and it's get converted into a playbook that the artificial intelligence is able to utilize for further um, situations. So let's say something happened today. I do a playbook for this, and if it happens again tomorrow, the computer, the artificial intelligence will be able to do it itself automatically. So when you get MDR, you're getting XDR. If you have a Sophos firewall, it will be integrated for free. Microsoft Graph Security, Office 365, or basically everything that is Microsoft related is for free included. Sophos email, endpoint protection, cloud, 90 days retention, and third-party endpoint protection. So let's say if you have a mixed environment in which you have a few MDR Sophos endpoint protected, and you are still displacing or replacing the ones that you have from other competition for X or Y reason that you are not able to do so. If you get the MDR, you're able to deploy the monitoring until you can fully replace that with the proper Sophos endpoint. And then we have the add-ons that are basically for third party, which is a firewall. So we can basically integrate with Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Cisco, and SonicWall at the moment. More to be added as the service progresses and grows. For public cloud, we are compatible with AWS, Azure, Orca, and Google Cloud. We have identity, email, network security, and also if you want to have 1 year retention of information instead of 90 days, that is an additional add-on that you can get as well. Also, something to notice here that this is very, very, very important, and it's not written in small letters, is that Sophos has a breach protection warranty. So let's say if you are an MDR complete, which is the highest tier of managed detection and response, manual and monthly, and no additional cost. So it's included to you, yes or yes. Also, what you get is 1 million up to $1 million US dollars in response expenses. That is, if you get Sophos MDR working, it has to be full state, of course. So you need to have your endpoints and servers protected. Um, and if while Sophos is keeping you protected, it occurs any attack, Sophos will be responsible to compensate up to $1 million, depending on the case, of course. But you have that warranty there should you need it. That as of now, we haven't had anyone needing it just yet. Also, you remember that we mentioned active threat response. Basically, is the synchronized security, but with a little bit more coverage than earlier. So, for example, um, you have your environment set up, and one specific endpoint has been compromised. What Sophos will do, it will be uh, analyzing our security operations team will be analyzing what is going on with the endpoint, sending instructions, or the threat feed is sent to the firewall via API so that this endpoint is able to be isolated from both the network and local devices. And as soon as the threat has been remediated, it will be already returning back to online. And usually this was done via firewall rule configuration. Now, with the network detection and response service, you don't have to create any rules. It will be done automatically by the operations team. So, as we saw earlier, basically this is like a big picture about what the firewall is able to do. So we have MDR, XDR threats, that this is for um, sending over via the API the threat response. Third-party feeds will be available in the roadmap. It doesn't say as of now as when. Hopefully within the next major update, we'll have it available. Also, we have what is our Sophos Labs that is being sent either with the DPI engine and the API as well. So all of this is then offloaded to the Xstream Fast path for the traffic acceleration and encryption and decryption engine. So basically, all of these capabilities work on your favor to keep you secure from um, the threats. Next, we have the pivot. This assassin it's responsible for enlarging or expanding the scope and impact of the attack by moving from the initial target to other networks or systems or devices or resources that you have available. So it uses various tactics such as lateral movement, privilege escalation, network transversal, credential harvesting, trying to get the most that he can to be able to expand as much as he can. So basically, the defense for this specific assassin is the block, restricting or stopping the movement and expansion of the attack. The block tactics are segmentation, isolation, containment, and quarantine to separate and limit the network resources. So basically, as we were calling, synchronized security is the way to go for this. And the beauty of it is that this happens automatically. So for example, you have your network set up, everything working flawlessly. One of your endpoints gets compromised, it will be automatically isolated from either the rest of the network and the internet access. So basically, this endpoint is compromised, it won't have access to this, nor this endpoint, nor anything on the cloud, nor anything on the internet. This happens automatically, and as soon as the threat gets neutralized, it will be also restored. Also, compromised mailbox detection, so post-delivery protection. It's one of the methods that we use as well. So compromised mailbox detected, isolating the mailbox, device clean, mailbox restored, endpoint cleanup. So as you see, it doesn't matter if it happens inside of the company or outside, because Sophos is able to extend the synchronized security capabilities to endpoints outside of the organization. So in this specific case, we have branch offices. This endpoint that is compromised is not able to access any resources inside, so it's not able to access the access points, servers or applications, or go out of the firewall. So it's contained within, so it can be neutralized and remediated. And this is what you are going to be seeing if you're logging into your firewall. So you have one computer at risk. The lateral movement protection will be avoiding it to connect to any of the endpoints in the network. Also will be preventing it to connect to the internet, so it's get completely isolated. And once the threat has been remediated, the access is restored. Same happens with the applications that you have on your computer, so you don't have to completely segmentalize all of the computer as a whole, but you can do it also with an application in a specific. So when a new application is showing up, the endpoint will be sharing the information with the firewall. And once the application has been verified to be safe, that application will be classified and controlled. And if it needs to have any remote access, it will be allowed them to have it too. So, importance of the threat response in action. Well, as we've been calling, is the same automated response, but now is not only within the endpoint and the firewall, but also with the MDR and Security Operations Center. Alrighty, the pillage. So the pillage basically is responsible for stealing or destroying the data in the target network. So after they have access to everything, the pillage will be basically enforcing the ransom and trashing everything behind itself. So they will take personal information, financial records, intellectual property, trade secrets, whatever you have of value within your operations and your systems. And the defense for this assassin is the shield. Basically, by safeguarding or recovering the data in the network. The shield uses few methods such as access control, data loss prevention, data recovery, and data destruction, because in some cases you auto destroy the information that they are trying to get away with because it has been already, let's say, encrypted and compromised. So you better destroy it and restore a backup than leaving it in the wind. And also encrypts and erases the data that have been compromised, which can stop or limit the use of the data by the pillage assassin. So basically, we have the best endpoint protection in the world. You have the foundational things like known threats. Um, you have the databases, the signatures, and so on. We have deep learning, which is unknown executables. We have anti-ransomware, and we have anti-exploit. So you have these multiple layers of defense available. So the foundational threats As we mentioned, they are the signatures, the things that are already known to be bad. Ransomware, we have CryptoGuard available. And WipeGuard, which basically will be making a shadow copy of the system files or the things that are trying to be encrypted before they are. So in this case, you don't have any real data loss if by any chance a ransomware attack starts. And you have also WipeGuard to completely delete everything related to this ransomware attack. Also, we have deep learning for unknown executables, for things that are zero-day threats. And we have exploit, as we saw earlier, to completely provide with a complete secure landscape. Now, when you have cybersecurity as a service, then you have XDR and MDR as well. That this is a top-it-all solution to cover all of your security needs that you may have within your systems. So you have experience because we are not new within this. We have been proven as of now. Sophos this year has been in a 14th time in a row in the leaders quadrant in Gartner. So 14 years being leaders. It has a performance outstanding in every aspect, which can take as little as 20 milliseconds to provide response to any incoming alert or threats. And we have Sophos Labs, which has hundreds of millions of items in its database of analyzed threats. So WipeGuard, basically, it's the part that catches the system information, such as disk and boot protection. And CryptoGuard is the disk or the storage side of the things. So basically, WipeGuard saves the master boot record, and CryptoGuard is the information that you have saved within your hard drives. So ransomware comes with many forms. So file override encryption, intermittent encryption, remote encryption, boot level encryption. All of them are stopped within tracks with Sophos. So also we have DLP protection and encryption within the email. So we have DLP optimized for simplicity. We analyze what is the content that is being shared, and it's based on policies. So you can get push-based encryption for an entire email or the attachments, for portal-based pull encryption, and also TLS and S/MIME. We have several DLP rules to catch different things that are being sent over the email. So, for example, if you have a specific keyword that you don't want that to be in the content of any email, then you can enforce a policy that any email or attachment that has this specific keyword will be retained and not sent with the email that is being sent. So for the encryption, we have TLS encryption, for portal-based pull encryption, push-based encryption, and S/MIME email signing and encryption available. And as we said at the beginning, everything that we have shown today can be managed from Sophos Central as our centralized management console from the cloud. And it's simple to use yet powerful to provide the resources that you need to manage everything. So you have manual control, you minimize change. It has Mac OS and Linux support. It has support, a wide array of support, and also you get the most possible visibility available for you today. So with this, we reach to the end. of the presentation that we have prepared for you today. And I hope this has been very useful for you in how to defend against these six assassins that are the threats that we face day to day within our organizations to protect our information.
Hey, Brian, thank you very much. I have a question. Now, Sophos is available for all platforms, but we know that Windows has so many organizations have so many versions of Windows in their infrastructure. Is there any restriction with regards to the version of Windows or Mac OS or Linux, for that matter, um, that Sophos would be supported on?
Yes, actually, there are. So, as of now, support for Windows 7 has been discontinued. So, no Windows Server 7 support. Windows Server 2008 is discontinued as well. Server 2012, it's coming to an end on 2026, even with the extended support package that we have available. So as of now, Windows servers must be 2016 and forward, and for endpoints, it has to be Windows 10 and forward.
Okay.
Windows 8.1, it has a extended support package as well, but it will be soon discontinued. For Mac, it has to be from Mac OS 10.15, which is Catalina, from Catalina and forward. And where the things are a little bit more like fuzzy or not so clear at all, it's within Linux. There is a list that I can share with you as well, that you can go and check out what is the retirement calendar and the support for the current versions that we have available as well.
Very great.
Um, I'm gonna paste actually this in the chat so everyone have access to it. Um, or I will send it to you via email so you can share it with all of our
Attendees. Yeah, because
customers
that'll
today.
work.
Yep, yep. So I don't know if anybody else have any other questions at the moment. So I see that Keith has a raised hand.
Right. Hi. Afternoon, Taquin.
Hi,
Afternoon,
afternoon.
Brian. Well, everybody else. Uh, I think I may have missed something. So I just want a little bit of clarity for um the Sophos solution and or tools. Can it work in conjunction with stuff that you already have existing in the environment? So let me be a little bit more specific, right? So
Mhm.
for our environment, our endpoint solution is semantic, right? As well as we have other tools employed in the environment. So our firewalls are not Sophos as well. They're Palo Altos, as well as we have Defendify appliance within our environment. So is it that the Sophos solution we need to replace what we have existing, or it can work in conjunction with what we have, or what is the preferred method?
Well, that is actually a very good question.
Yeah.
So for the integrations that we have available, I think that Symantec is only available for notifications, not for actions. And for the Palo Alto, we have compatibility that you can get the integration pack with MDR, so you don't have to replace your existing Palo Alto infrastructure. But I don't think that we have a threat advisor package for Symantec as of now. there are any others integrations that we have, which is I'm trying to get the list here.
So Brian, if I can piggyback on that question, and I'm
Sure.
hoping I got the context right, Keith. Is it that you're looking to see if Sophos is something that you can add to your infrastructure and you want to leverage some of the benefits of Sophos, of the Sophos solution, but because you have this investment in, say, Semantic, you don't know, you want to know if both of them can run together so you can leverage the benefits of Sophos while still maintaining your Semantic deployment. Is that it?
Right. Well, for my main thing for the question really
Mm-hmm.
is clarification, but is
Mm-hmm.
it could be along both lines.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
remember with Semantic, with any of the new solutions is a year-on-year based solution now, right?
Sure.
Almost everything is like that. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have any perpetual license of anything again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so what I wanted to get was an idea of does it have to be a rip and replace, or since we are within that current period and we're looking to deploy, if possible, and we able to deploy the software solution in tandem with the semantic, if they will operate um
Together.
coherently together, and they won't try to be attacking one another. That's kind of more or less it. So
Well,
you are correct.
Mm.
yeah, in this case, it's not that they are going to work in tandem, because you have to look at this way. At the end of the day, you are not going to be able to ride in two cars at the same time. You only can go in one car at one time. I can go next to you, you in your car, me in mine, and I can see that you're going at certain speed. I can tell you that there is some road bumps ahead, some potholes, but I won't be able to take control of your car and your trip because I'm in mine and you're in yours. So that's kind of an analogy of what what it means. So at the end of the day, you could have some information, you can have some expertise, but you won't have the full benefit of what Sophos have to offer because you are not deploying Sophos fully. And it's not like it makes sense for you to have two different, let's say, endpoint agents deployed on one single computer because they will be fighting with each other for the functionalities that they are handling and the things that they are protecting. So even though you could have, let's say, the threat advisor that can tell you what is going on, at least on the endpoint standpoint, is no benefit for you to put Sophos on a third party security vendor on top of it. The real benefit that you get with the Sophos endpoint is when you set Sophos as your main and primary security solution for your endpoint. When it comes to the firewall, the thing is a little bit different though, um, because of the nature of the devices and the nature of the things that they do. And yes, you can have, let's say, in a firewall situation for your networking, you could have the Sophos in a discover mode attached to your main firewall, or you can have the Sophos in line just behind your main networking uh, as a pass-through device, and you can have all of those benefits, but with the endpoint is a little bit different.
Okay, thanks, Brian and Taquin. And just one more question. In terms of the O365 integration, you guys mentioned well, there were a couple of things that you guys mentioned, but what I think I wanted a little bit of clarification on is it that the Sophos will be hooked to like the O365 portal, and all emails will pass through the
Mhm.
Sophos API so that it will do the machine learning and all that stuff, or is it that it sits like attached to like a device and it's monitoring?
No, no,
I
no.
don't think. Mhm.
Basically, what will happen is that Sophos email will be in front of your email server. It will be an email gateway in front of your email server, be it Office 365, be it Exchange, be it any solutions that you may be using. So in the case of Office 365, it has a special connection, which is called Mailflow, which is basically an proprietary API connectivity that Sophos has developed alongside with Microsoft that basically it's easier for you to put in front of your Office 365. Let me see if I can find
When you
one.
say put in front of Brian, you're talking about in terms of things like DNS entries and so forth. So when you because the Sophos solution is actually residing in the cloud, correct?
Exactly. It's in the
Right. So
cloud, same as Office 365. So
yeah,
basically, what we'll be doing is that every email that is directed to your email domain, it will be rerouted to Sophos,
correct.
and then Sophos will be delivering to your mailboxes. And every email that it's going out of your mailboxes will be delivered to Sophos, and Sophos will deliver it to the other end. So at the end of the day, Sophos will be like a gatekeeper on your whole email solution. That what it's coming in has to go through Sophos first, and what it's going out is lastly going through Sophos to the outside. So come to think that there is a common issue that happens that it's good to clear out here is that, for example, if you have dual email protection, let's say Microsoft uh, advanced the anti-spam solution that Microsoft has, the Microsoft ATP. If you have that enabled and Sophos as well, you will get an issue because what will happen is that Sophos will rewrite the IP address of all of the emails addresses that you are being receiving because it will be analyzing them and it will be channeled through Sophos. So if you have Sophos and Microsoft ATP enabled in your email, what you will get is an error that Microsoft ATP will consider the emails as suspicious because the email header is not matching the IP address that is coming from because it's being modified by the Sophos email solution. So it's either or in this case. It's either Sophos or Microsoft ATP.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, we're at 105. And if there are no more questions, remember too, you feel free to reach out to us. And even after the video is published, you can and something pops into your mind, be sure to reach out to us at Icons, and we can get in contact with Brian or have a quick meeting with you all, online meeting where we can discuss whatever challenge you're looking at or what questions you may have on how the Sophos solutions can help you in this war against the assassins that we highlighted. We want to thank Brian for his time with us. Still looking forward to that invitation here, Brian. I
For
don't drink beer.
sure.
I don't drink beers, by the way. So whatever nice
Ah,
cultural drink that you have,
I will
you let me
save you a
know.
fruit punch.
Ah,
You know
fantastic.
that is my specialty in the kitchen, juices and fruit punches.
Ah,
So I will make you a special one
excelente.
for you.
Excelente. All right, we want to thank everyone else for your time. I know a few have dropped off, but glad that for the others that were able to stay on with us. Thank you very much, and we're going to end this session now. We look forward to seeing you in our third session, which is going to be dealing with these cybersecurity stages from the perspective of Microsoft. And as you can see, Microsoft was one of the first solutions that we started with. So hoping to see you all and others at that session next week, Tuesday. That's going to be the 6th final session in this series. Again, thank you all, and have a great day, everyone.